Alright, let's talk about one of the biggest surprises happening in the tech world right now, because Intel is back in the spotlight, and for once, it's for some seriously good news. Intel stock absolutely rocketed today after new reports and analyst insights pointed to a breakthrough that could completely reshape the company's future. And trust me, this is the kind of news that Intel investors have been waiting years to hear. So today, we're going to break down exactly what happened, why the market reacted so strongly, and what this could mean for Intel, Apple, and the entire chip industry moving forward. The spark that ignited this firestorm comes from a fresh wave of analyst reports suggesting that Intel's chances of securing a manufacturing deal with Apple have increased significantly. Now, to understand why this is a massive deal, you need a little context. Back in 2020, Apple famously dumped Intel, switching all of its Mac computers to its own custom-designed M-series chips. It was a huge blow to Intel's prestige and its bottom line. Since then, Apple has relied almost exclusively on one company, TSMC, to manufacture those powerful M-series chips. But here's the problem for Apple. TSMC is completely overloaded. It faces ongoing geopolitical risks in its region, and like any smart company, Apple hates being dependent on a single supplier. This is where the new reports come in. Analysts are now saying that Apple may be seriously considering using Intel Foundry Services, or IFS, to manufacture some of its next-generation M-series chips. We're likely talking about chips for entry-level Mac models, probably a few years down the road. But even the possibility of this happening sends a powerful message. Think about it. If Apple, the company that publicly broke up with Intel, is even considering using them again not for chip design, but for manufacturing, it means Intel's foundry improvements are finally being taken seriously. This is something the market absolutely did not expect. After this news broke, Intel stock jumped more than 8%, even 10% in a single day. For a company of Intel's massive size, a jump like that is extremely rare. So, why such an explosive reaction? It comes down to one word: validation. Apple is known for having some of the strictest and highest quality standards of any customer on the planet. If Intel manages to win even a small piece of Apple's business, it instantly boosts Intel's credibility as a world-class manufacturer. It signals to the entire industry that Intel's massive, multi-billion-dollar investment in its factories might finally be paying off. Investors saw this news as a potential turning point, a catalyst that could lead to huge multi-billion-dollar foundry contracts, attract other high-profile customers, and restore Intel's relevance in the semiconductor industry. And let's be honest, considering Intel has spent years losing ground to its rivals like AMD and TSMC, this is the most positive sentiment the company has received in a very long time. But this Apple rumor didn't just appear out of thin air. It's landing on fertile ground because Intel has recently been reporting significantly improved financial results. We're seeing revenue growing again after a long slump. We're seeing profit return after periods of heavy losses, and the company's aggressive cost-cutting efforts are finally starting to work. On top of that, their ambitious foundry roadmap, which lays out their plan to reclaim manufacturing leadership, is reportedly hitting its key milestones. In other words, Intel is showing real, tangible signs of a comeback, not just marketing hype. The stock surge today wasn't just about the Apple rumor. It was also the market finally validating Intel's broader recovery. For years, analysts have been skeptical, and for good reason. But now, we're starting to see better execution from the company, successful development of their new manufacturing nodes, and stronger demand for Intel's AI-related products. We're also hearing about growing customer interest in Intel Foundry Services. Today's news acted like the confirmation signal that a lot of investors were waiting for, the proof that something real is happening behind the scenes. So let's imagine this deal actually goes through. If Intel truly lands Apple as a foundry customer, even for a portion of the M-series chips, it would have massive implications across the entire tech landscape. For Intel, it would be a monumental credibility boost. It would mean billions of dollars in long-term, stable revenue, and it will be definitive proof that Intel's manufacturing is once again competitive with the best in the world. For Apple, it would mean reducing the immense risk of relying solely on TSMC. It would give them access to high-volume, advanced manufacturing based right here in the U.S., potentially leading to shorter supply chains and better overall stability, especially in a world with so much geopolitical tension. For TSMC, it would mean real competition for the first time in years. It could create a shift in the power balance within the industry and put pressure on their pricing and capacity planning. And for the U.S. semiconductor industry as a whole, it would be a huge win. It means more domestic chip production, a stronger national supply chain, and less dependence on overseas fabs for the most critical components in our technology. Basically, an Apple-Intel partnership, even a limited one, would send shockwaves through the entire tech world. Intel has spent years and hundreds of billions of dollars trying to rebuild its manufacturing lead. They've been building new factories, investing in new technology, and completely restructuring their business. But none of that means anything if they can't convince customers to trust them with their most important products. That's why today's news matters so much. It signals that Intel may finally be regaining that trust. It suggests that their aggressive foundry roadmap is real, not just a bunch of PowerPoint slides. And it opens the door for many other companies to start seriously considering Intel for their own manufacturing needs. Now, even if this Apple deal is not yet finalized, the shift in sentiment alone is a huge milestone. Of course, there are still major challenges ahead. Apple has incredibly high standards for performance and power efficiency, and Intel will have to meet them. Intel also needs to stay perfectly on schedule with its new, unproven manufacturing nodes. Any delay could be a deal breaker. And let's not forget, TSMC is still the world's most advanced and experienced chipmaker, and they won't give up their crown without a fight. No deal is guaranteed, but here is the key takeaway from all of this. The fact that these reports even exist, that analysts and insiders are taking this possibility seriously, shows just how much Intel has improved. A year or two ago, the idea that Intel could manufacture chips for Apple again even for low-end models would have been laughed out of the room. Now, it's a credible possibility. That alone shows that Intel is entering a new phase, a new chapter in its long history. So that's the big story around Intel today, and it is a really big one. We have a potential Apple manufacturing partnership, a major stock surge, strong financial improvements, and a growing belief that Intel might actually be staging one of the biggest comebacks in tech history. It's going to be fascinating to watch this unfold. If you found this breakdown helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more daily market updates. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think Intel can really win back Apple? Or is this all just temporary hype? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.